Hello again. It is January and probably a bit late in the month to say Happy New Year because it is the 24th. But welcome. As you may have seen from the title of the video, we have been busy making plans in our garden. So when we first viewed this house, it was a cold January, it was frosty, and it was 10 years ago, and we were greeted by a cat, and I kind of knew from that moment that this was the house for us. I'd been deemed a crazy cat lady and had many cats over the years, and it also turned out that my neighbour loved cats, had lots of cats, and the neighbour across the road also loved cats and had lots of cats, and between us we had 21 cats when we moved in. I've managed to find some photos from that day 10 years ago. I don't know if I'm clever enough to be able to put these on the screen, but I will try and do that for you. When 10 years ago we were actually living in a first floor flat and we didn't have a garden at all. We'd managed to put some planters at the bottom of the stairs, but other than that, we didn't have our own space. So this garden for us was something quite special. So there were two fruit trees right outside the back door, which were just twiggy and hard and weren't very nice at all. So that was the first thing that we did. Got rid of the fruit trees that were sort of overpowering in that area. We also then saw some wooden boxes. They were used for like transporting stuff, and my dad was able to make planters out of them wooden panels. So we had them all around the edge of the garden, and they looked good for a fair few years. We then started zoning the garden, and a couple of years in we had new fence panels down the side where my neighbour's garden is, and then we also had decking laid. As the garden was slanted, that meant that we were able to actually have a seating area that was flat and level. We started a new project in lockdown. We were able to hire a skip, and we'd inherited this slanted shed that was like proper like that. I don't know how it stayed up, but we dismantled that and we were able to order another one. So my husband then laid a patio in the area beside it, and we were able to put up this new shed. And then we had a little project where we decided that we'd be a little bit lavish and buy a hot tub. So we bought a hot tub, and then we sort of put a panel round, like a bit of a privacy screen. So that was our lockdown project. So fast forward to the present time. I'd always wanted to have a garden landscaped, tiered, to make use of the whole of the level. But my husband was dead against it. Pretty much for the whole 10 years I battled to try and persuade him that it would just make such a difference to us if we actually put the graft in or paid somebody, which would be much quicker, to just do it for us. And after 10 years, he decided that yes, now is the time. And we'd done everything that we could to the house. This was kind of the last thing that we sort of worked on it for 10 years, and what really was needed was some structure put in to make it amazing. One thing I will say is if you are starting a journey in your garden and you are hoping to vlog it or video the footage or take photos, January isn't actually the best time to do that, because you go to work in the dark, you come home from work in the dark, and there's not ever so much time to be able to video it or take photos or sort of enjoy the process. So that is the only thing I would say. January is a good time because you're not using your garden, so you're not in a building site for part of the summer, but it's quite difficult to video the footage. But we tried, and I hope you enjoyed it. So this is how our garden looked at the end of the summer, looking quite tired and drab and needing a complete overhaul. We then spent December emptying the planters and sort of clearing everything out,
many trips to the recycling centre. We got rid of a big storage unit that was over in the corner there. My dad had that, just to get everything in place ready for when the landscapers came in January. At this point, we were very glad that the professionals were going to come in and take over, as we'd already had enough of grafting. As you can see, the decking had seen better days. It had started collapsing underneath. My dad and my husband had both made repairs to it over its time. We then had a family of rats living under it, so we had to pull some of it up and then had to repair it over the winter. So yeah, it was just ready for a complete overhaul at this stage.
So day one, I was working and my husband was working from home, so he was able to answer any questions that the landscapers had. And my husband sent me a picture at lunchtime, and basically the garden had just been ripped out. Boom, everything had gone, a total blank canvas, and he was like, "Oh my God, that's just 10 years just gone." Boom, done. I said, "Yeah, but don't worry, it's going to be a million times better." They asked my husband a question, and he then phoned me. I missed the call because I was in a meeting, so he had to make decisions. But turns out the decisions were actually fine. I should have trusted him. One thing was we didn't anticipate how dirty it would be. Like, we let the dogs out in the evening, and when they came back in, my floors were filthy, absolutely disgusting. My lino and my lino, very dirty. But yeah, I don't know how people live on, when they have renovations and then they live like on a building site for a year and a half or something. I'm not quite sure how you guys cope. So day two, and the levels have then been measured out and the sleepers have started going in. And the first planter looked massive. I'm like, oh my God, that's very overpowering. Bearing in mind, we'd had tiny little planters. I don't think I was quite prepared for how big they would be. But here's a photo. So day three fell on a Friday. So I was able to take some video footage over the weekend in daylight and actually see what was going on.
And by this point, all the structure has gone in, all the planters were in place. There was some rubble down for the hardcore, and it was looking good. And it's such a drop, Cooper, that Cooper can't get himself back up again. Can you, Cooper? Come on then. Hop up. Ready. Ready. Hop up. Ready. Come on then, Cooper. Hop up. Yeah, you did it. Good boy.
So day four, which was Monday, the turf was laid, so that made it look really nice, and the soil had been put in the planters. So it was really coming together at this point, and we could really see how it was going to be at the end. So by day five, the slabs, the porcelain tiles were then starting to be laid, and it sort of made everything zoned and made them all look bigger because they were all sort of white. So yeah, that was a nice moment as well. So day six, the slabs had continued to be laid, and it was all coming together really nicely.
Day 7, and it was the worst day for weather. We'd had quite a good run up until this point, but then managed to lay all the slabs. Everything was in place. They just needed to come back the following day to do the grouting and then put the shingle down around the edging, down the gravel traps. And here we go, a couple of hours in the morning and the guys have finished. It was a super windy day, and up north we've had awful gales. But yeah, we managed to, it was windy, but we managed to get some sun. So this is the end. Blank canvas ready for us to buy lots of plants, furniture, bring our plants back in and make it all lovely.
So there you go. I hope you liked watching our journey, and if it's helpful for other people who might now be starting their own gardening journey. If you'd like to like and subscribe and see what we do next, we'll be filling the planters full of flowers, going to garden centres, buying garden furniture. So that's all very exciting, something to look forward to as well. I'll also add the guys we used. If you're local to Norfolk in England, I thoroughly recommend the guys that we used at Beechwood. Lovely. Thanks, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.